Hey everybody, welcome to our show. My name is Jonathan Tripp. I'm really excited to have you guys on. Today we're going to be talking about mobile apps that you just can't live without. And guys, if you know me, you know that's not true. I can live without my phone for a little bit. Kind of. Well, sort of. But I use my phone a lot. Oh, okay, I use my phone almost as much as I drink coffee. So that's my personal confession time with this. No, but today's show, I really wanted to put. I just wanted to talk about this, and I am inviting people on that are live in our Huzzah, and that's where we're broadcasting from in our Huzzah group. That's where we're doing a lot of the live chat. If you want to come on, if you want to include and be a part of that, and actually want to come on live, then that is the place to do it. So without much more delay than that, I do want to say thank you and welcome to everybody that is watching us live right now. Okay, and if you are watching us live, welcome to our show. If you'd like to be actually a part of our group, we have a Facebook group, and the easiest way to get there is just group.jonathantripp.com. We also have a Google Plus community now that we just started. If today's Monday, we must have started it. I mean, if today's Tuesday, it must have started yesterday, the last couple of days. You're welcome to join that. Just search Jonathan Tripp Live. You'll be able to find it. I'll come up with a neat little lower third and all that kind of stuff for the show and such. So having said that, guys, I'm really glad to see all of you guys. But today's show, I wanted to talk about making sure it's like, how are we using our mobile apps? And I don't mean as in I don't mean a lot of those other things, okay? Where we're glued to our phones, we're playing games, because see, today is I want to go over and talk about a bunch of the apps that we're actually using right now. Okay, and I did go through it, so you guys know I'm an Android user primarily, right? I'm an Android user, and I'm okay with that. I've come to terms and peace with that. I don't feel like I have to apologize too much about doing that. So what I did is I went over to the Google Play in my mobile. I was just sitting down. It was over a cup of coffee, if you can imagine that. And by the way, here's the mugshot for the day. Okay, that's the mugshot. And I do have my coffee here, but over a cup of coffee, I started going down through my mobile, and I just was like, well, what are the apps that we're doing? And I actually do this exercise quite a bit. I call it an exercise. Listen to me, like I work out, right? But I want to look at what are the popular apps, and I just pulled up. I have my phone literally live here while I'm doing this. And I'm going to start with Android, and I also have an iPad, so I'm able to kind of see a little bit of some of the differences. But there's a couple of things that really actually come up that are I think it's interesting to see what are the apps that we are depending on or that using a lot. And I don't mean just because it's the top free. There's the trending category and things like that. So I just wanted to go down through, and one of the top free app, and I believe it's actually on both sides of the game. Okay, and I'm looking, so I apologize, guys, if it looks like I'm not looking, and if I'm not looking right at you at the camera, it's because I'm looking at two of the mobile screens. A couple of the number one, and it's not a surprise, guys. There's been a lot of push towards this. It's the Facebook Messenger app. And to be honest, guys, if you're watching this in a chat, or if you're either put down one, if you use, how many of you guys use the mobile version of the Facebook Messenger? Not necessarily logged in. I'm not just Facebook Messenger in general, but on your mobile device. How many of you guys actually use that? I'll be honest, I'm watching, and I see. I see a bunch of you guys that are either it's on YouTube, or if you guys are watching us on Facebook, whatever the case is. I see a bunch of you guys that I get to see. I see that you're able to respond on Messenger from your mobile. It lets me know. It lets us know. And I think that's one of the things, that's one of the big pushes for the Messenger. So when we go into our Messenger app, and I know, guys, I do this on the Facebook, I mean, on the Android side. I mean, I think it's got a lot of bunch of really good features. It's got group and personal, and then it has all of these other things. But this is what I wanted to bring up, and this is why I think that they've really done something, and they're really pushing. Okay, one, you can no longer log in if I'm not, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you can no longer log into the mobile site for Facebook and use the Messenger. They're forcing you, if you're on a mobile device, to download the app. Right? I've tried it, and it pushes me now. It doesn't allow me to get over there. But I think that's actually a secondary issue. The thing that really actually caught my eye was, how many of you guys know that within the Facebook Messenger now, they put a they put like a QR code. It's their own Facebook QR code, and they make it look decorative, and it goes around your profile picture, and people are able to scan that. You can scan that within the app, and it connects you directly to other Facebook mobile Messenger users. That is, I think it's amazing. I think that was such a good use of a QR code that didn't look like QR codes. I'll be honest. It's like what Snapchat did for QR codes. They just made it so that, it just looked cute, right? So the Facebook, I think that Facebook Messenger app, guys, for me, I use it literally all the time. All of the time. I'm actually almost on it as much as I am on the desktop version when I'm sitting in front of my computer. Okay. Another. On how many of you, by the way, how many of you guys know that you have to go like 8 clicks deep in order to find your to find any of the messages that have been like archived or filtered. Filtered is the word. So there's a little bit of a challenge with that. Okay, Herbie. So I'm catching up with your messages. Yeah. I mean, I think the Facebook Messenger overall, I think it's a good thing. They're actually adding a bunch of features that make my life easier, so that I don't have to do it. I just know. Look, I just can go to the app, and it just takes care of that. Okay. So I was kind of talking about what are some of the other apps, and the way that I do it. I actually go right into the App Store or to Google Play, or iTunes, and I just look at what are the top performing, whether it's top free or trending apps, and I'll just kind of go down them here real quick. I'm going to do the social ones first, and you guys tell me which ones you think will kind of ring true as this is a good, like, I use this app. That's what it is. So Facebook Messenger, Snapchat, then there's the Facebook, and I'm going to set it out and go, it's the Facebook profile. It's the profile one. Not the Messenger, not the Moments, not the Groups app, not the Fan Page app. It's the one that everybody knows. Instagram is actually after that. It's actually number 6 on my list. I don't know, why would it be number 6? Instagram is number 6 as a mobile app. Snapchat, I understand, is like a number 3. And the number 2, by the way, is a game. So I'm skipping the games. If it's a game, it's not showing up on today. I might mention it, but it's not really, to me, that's not a app I can live without. Because I don't know, several months ago, I deleted any kind of a game, any form of a game. I took it off my phone if possible, or I took it off the home screen if I couldn't uninstall it. Games are gone. All right. But so it was the top one is the Messenger, then it's Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram. Would you consider WhatsApp a social? Would you consider that to be a social app, a mobile app? I would. Although I'll be honest, with the number of Messenger apps out there, it almost feels like they need their own category, as it were, right? But I would put WhatsApp in there. There was a couple others, and I wanted to go down. What surprised me that was actually a Kik is on there. It's number 28. Pinterest is 31. And I'm keep going down. I'm looking for where it is. I know it's really far down there. Twitter. There we go. Twitter at number 55. Twitter. When I'm out, that is probably my number outside of like a Facebook Messenger where I'm talking with people. Twitter is probably my number one used app. And I can't believe it's number 55. Maybe this is just in top, it's certainly not trending or anything like that. WhatsApp is more popular than you. Yes, it is. Yeah. Let's see. I was bringing up because I had a short list. Yeah, and so Twitter at number 55. Who generated this list? I generated this list, Robert. No, and all I did was I went down and I'm looking at just the different social apps, both in terms of which ones can I live without. Can I live without? So just to recap, there's Facebook, Snapchat, the Facebook profile. I'm sorry, so it was Facebook Messenger, Snapchat, Facebook profile, the Instagram, the WhatsApp, Pinterest, Kik, and Twitter. Which ones could I live without? Almost all of them, except for I can't live. I need a Facebook Messenger, Instagram, and Twitter. Those are the ones that are probably my top three on the social side that I need, or that I feel that I need on my mobile side, that I can't replace with my desktop experience. Pinterest is such a reference. That if I really needed to do so, I'll go to my desktop. I'll find my desktop. I'll whatever, right? But that's not it. We can live without a Pinterest app. At least I can. I mean, how many of you guys are feeling that you guys need your Pinterest app? Was that enough? Yeah, right. No, I know you guys. You guys are not using Pinterest that way, because really almost nobody uses Pinterest that way. So those are the social side of the apps, and I kind of wanted to pull those out because I think that's what, I mean, we all kind of think in those terms, but again, we look at how, a lot of people do use a Snapchat all the time. I'm liking Snapchat, honestly, it's a very easy phone call app for people overseas to be able to connect with them. So I've used that a bunch of times. I think it's kind of a cool feature. Video chat, you can put that in, and it's mobile. It's actually really easy to use, and I've only had a couple of times where it's actually just fully, force stopped my app. But on the Android, Snapchat's killing me. It's so much effort to do Snapchat on the mobile, and I was really hoping that they would fix it, but they didn't. Another focus, another set of apps. And remember how there's like the social, and I said I almost thought about going into Messenger, having that like a subcategory, and I just put it all in the social side. Another set of apps that I actually think that people can't live without are their music apps, which I find very interesting because I don't really find myself consuming music that way. The top three that I could find, and one of them was a real surprise for me. It was, there's Pandora. You guys know all about Pandora. I've used Pandora for years. Spotify. I never really got into Spotify. It is great, and I know some people are now, they're done. They're moving on from Spotify to get over to YouTube or YouTube Red, and that was the next one on the list, which is actually there's an app for YouTube Music. How many of you guys use a mobile app or have downloaded a mobile app just for music, listening to music? I'm not talking like MP3 style, where you download the MP like a podcast. I'm talking about actually streaming. Okay, so I see a couple of you guys, Rashim, you say you use Pandora and YouTube app every day. I use the YouTube app every day, and if you notice, I didn't put that in the social side. No music or games for me. Okay, that's interesting, Pat. Okay. iHeartRadio daily. Good one, Steven. I appreciate that. That's a good comment. That's a good point. Let's see here. Hey, Sandra. It's good to, by the way, thank you, everybody. It's really good to see everybody here. Just before the start of the show, before we went live, we were going over a little bit of some of the Huzzah news and things like that. And actually, Huzzah is actually on my list of apps that I'm not sure I want to live without right now, and we'll kind of get right into that it just shortly. But so I see, there's a bunch of you guys. I think that you guys use the the Pandora, the Spotify, the YouTube Music, and I know there's a few others. Someone said iHeart Daily. Those are interesting. Those are good apps, but again, they're all music. They're very specific for the mobile, the mobile experience, because that's the whole point. I'll tell you. I mean, I bring my phone out into the garden when I'm doing garden work and things like that, so that I can just listen to that while I'm doing the work, and it kind of gets my mind off of it. Now, yes. Sandra, Adobe Spark. That's on a list, and I want to kind of shift to another kind of a list. We're going to get out of like the social and the media consumption, okay? Because those took over, or taking over, such a they have such, not a stigma about them, but it's kind of like it's the thing that we all use, okay? So, but here's I'm going to run down a couple of these next ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 6 or 7 of these that are more, I want to say, on the business side, but they're more on the productivity side. And I want to go down this, okay? Netflix. How many of you guys think of Netflix as a productivity? To me, that's a media consumption, but I put it on that list of these are mobile apps. Honestly, I can't live without. Whether it's on my iPad or a tablet or something like that. Hey, Mike. Oh, that's a really good point. Look out for Amazon's big growth in the next 6 months. I think you're right. Netflix is not productivity. I know it. I know it, Jenny. I put that right at the top of the list because I thought it was funny. No, Netflix is the anti-productivity, but it's one of those apps I can't live without. Except for if I'm looking to see what's kind of trending, if I want to see what creatives are you doing right now, and they're producing. Actually, Netflix is actually a really good research tool for that. Believe it or not, go in and look at what the original series, what they're actually producing in-house. And I think it's a really good insight into how people are using and are going to be using TV. Okay. But seriously, getting a little bit more into the more utility, productivity apps and things like that. Believe it or not, the number one that I came up with was a flashlight app. How many of you guys have a flashlight app for your mobile? I'd love to see it. Nope. Okay. I do. It has It has a flashlight button. Part of the iPhone, right? One of the reasons why I know a couple of I use the flashlight app is because they have a dimmer switch on the app. Okay, so that usually when I turn it on, it's so bright. It like burns my corneas. Okay, but there's a couple of cautions though. When you download a flashlight app, look to see the size of the app. If it's a big size, has a lot of data and has a lot of download, it probably has like a lot of like background secondary software, spyware, spamware, stuff like that's included in it. Don't do it. Check to see the permissions, check to see the size of the app, Ken. That's usually been the easiest telltale. If it's this 23 megabyte app don't download it. There's tons of others, and kind of move right on from there. But I know the flashlight app, and yes, David, I saw what you were saying. You're not supposed to look in the light. I know, but it's almost always like I always turn it and get it right in my eyes, and I can't see anything for like 2 minutes, because it's dark, and I needed the app, I needed the flashlight and all that. Anyway. That's my drama. But so the flashlight. Now the next one down on my list that I really caught my eye is Uber. And I know there's a Lyft that's kind of like another version of it and things like this. But Uber is actually a very big, if you're traveling, or if you don't own your own car, but maybe you can you need to Lyft around, or if you're on a business trip, Uber is a really big app. And how many of you guys have actually used Uber? or live with two E's in New York City. Good point. I mean, I've used it a bunch of times. It's probably one of the simplest, most useful apps when I was out and I needed that one thing. It only does that one thing. So this is not like Facebook, where it allows you to do videos and all these other kinds of things and reach out and make it has a very single purpose. Okay. So to me, that makes it, if you're traveling, I think Uber is like one of those apps. All right. Herbie he's on Lyft as a recruiter. Oh, that's interesting. I'd like to talk with him about it sometime then. Skype is another one. I use Skype almost daily on my mobile. I only connect with my Wi-Fi though, but the point really is I don't want to be sitting down and being stuck in front of my desktop when I'm trying to do when I'm trying to have a conversation. I want to be able to go from room to room or go wherever. So if I want to go sit outside, I can do that. Or if I need a quiet spot in the house, or if I'm out, whatever the case is, I want to be able to do that. And I do see, I see it, Ryan. I see what you're saying. But when you do those live streaming apps and things like that, like Skypes and even like the Appearance, it can really chew through your data. That's why. I actually don't. Well, I have an unlimited data plan, but for those that you do, I'd say just make sure you're on Wi-Fi before you go do any of that. Kiwi. Now, how many of you guys know about Kiwi? And this is a new one. Okay, how many of you guys know about Kiwi? Never heard of it, right? This is like a Q&A community. It's an app, okay? It's a Q&A community. And basically it allows you, yes, is it Kiwi? Yeah, Kiwi. And Ryan has the edible version. Very good. They're very good for you. There's Kiwi on Mac, but it's actually for Gmail. It is for Gmail, but it's on Mac. And I talked with one of the founding developers for that. A very interesting story, very interesting. It's kind of like Quora, except I have a feeling it's a much smaller response. I mean, it has like 10 million downloads within Google. But again, and I'm just downloading it and just getting into it now, and I haven't really delved into it. But I like the idea, and I liked what the feel in the way that it integrates. I can talk about Kiwi itself. Oh, you're welcome to come on if you'd like to come on and you can talk about this one. I haven't used it as an app though. I haven't used it as an app, and that's kind of my question. Is that but I do see that it does allow you to, when you log in, you have the option to log in with your Facebook credentials, or you can do it. But when you do that, it automatically tries to connect you to all of your Facebook friends. So I'm actually just gonna move over, and so it really acts like. It really does almost act like, and here's another app, and this is another one I want to talk about, which is the Slack. Now, this is a mobile, that I'm talking about the mobile version of it, not necessarily the desktop. So it's a cloud community, as it were, but the app gives you the mobile experience to be able to log in, and Slack does very much the same thing that this is doing. And I like the ability to be able to log in. And how many of you guys use Slack or have at least heard of it? I mean, I like it. I mean, I use it almost daily. But I'm finding that it's actually a little bit more of a challenge to you took the words right out of my mouth. It's very difficult to keep people involved with it on a regular basis, because I don't know why it is. It feels Slack is really great for really small groups, not necessarily a large a large community, like 100, 200, 300 people. But I'm fine. I like the mobile experience actually better than I liked the desktop experience. How are you trying to use Slack? No, I'm connected with a couple other groups, and one of them is really large and the other one's small. I'm finding that the small group actually interacts much better on Slack. The large group ends up feeling more like a pin board. It feels very spammy because of because I don't know, some of the issue with somebody will put up a post. And this is, I'll just kind of share my experience. Like I asked the question about, I needed some kind of does anybody have a contractor or somebody that they would, I needed a certain thing done, right? And they said, oh, you could use this site. Oh, here they gave me a reference. They said, oh, you could use this site, but I wouldn't use it. And just the comments that kind of came out of, and I'm just kind of going, well, that was a really weird thing to say. They didn't pin post. They didn't, there was no like direct message, reach out. There was, but I mean, I know that's the community, but I'm just saying that it seemed like the way that people, or that at least that larger group was using Slack, didn't actually play to its strengths. But overall, I think Slack is a really good, I think it's an amazing, app, and I like the way that it's set out, and I like the way that it's used. And I think it's less. It to me, it cuts out a lot of the social back and forth, like, hey, how are you doing? But it actually really helps kind of direct people to really specific things. Okay. That was Kiwi, and that's why I kind of wanted to do Kiwi and Slack together, because in some ways they're a little bit the same way, but they do have some very distinct feel. I'll say the social feel of it. And I meant to, when I was bringing up Skype, I meant to bring up another one, which is Oovo, OOVOO. Right. Okay. Yeah, I was just making sure I got those all right in there. How many of you guys have heard of it? It's a video calling service, and I know some people have even tried to use Oovo as a Skype replacement, or as a place actually they would record their podcasts through. And I was wondering how many of you guys have used it. Oovo is still a thing. It is, not just maybe not in the US, but I'm wondering how many of you guys have used it. I used it a lot a year ago. Okay. Mike, interesting. Zoit, Zoit, as a news feeder, and that can be customized. And see, Mike, you actually bring up a really good point within, within the user algorithms, that if I had more control over what I wanted to see, and I mean direct control, not just like in Facebook, you can influence what the algorithm will produce for you by who you like and who you don't. That's interesting. That'd be something to play around with. And then so there's Oovo and Skype and things like that. What's another one here? And Terry brought it up, which is Evernote. Okay, Evernote. How many of you guys use Evernote? Whether it's the mobile version, desktop, tablet. How many of you guys actually use Evernote? Q, you use. All right. Desktop and Evernote. Not on my iPhone. Okay. Love Evernote and Pocket. Use them all the time. That's perfect. I think that Evernote it's one of the, for me, it's probably the most underutilized resource that I have. Mainly because I think I'm always looking for more of a what's the word? More of I just use it like a to-do list and not like a project management. I know a bunch of people that are, they use Trello, or what's another project management tool. Jenny, I know you use one. Sana, yep. Trello, I know she uses Trello all the time. Microsoft just came out with a project management tool. How many of you guys are aware of that? They just came out with one. I think it's actually put right into, I think they're integrating it into almost everything else that they're doing, which is very interesting considering that they just bought LinkedIn, and they already have Skype, and I'm really interested to see how they're going to work that together, right? But Evernote is really huge. They bought Wunderlist. Okay. But I don't really use Evernote other than, well, let's put it this way. I was using it a lot, and I think I'm not using it like I wanted to, and so I stopped. So I stopped using Evernote. Hey, it's good to see everybody here. Thanks for joining us today, right? So those are kind of like some of the more, I don't want to say productivity, the business side, and I can see which ones you guys like, and which apps you guys are actually thinking like, man, these are the ones that I've got to use. Okay. We've talked a lot about the social ones, the social media, Snapchat, the profile, Instagram, Pinterest, Kick, Twitter. I see YouTube and all these other ones like that. But I want to get into some ones maybe that you guys don't know as much about. How many of you guys have heard of the app for Tile? Tile. In case I'm not pronouncing it well for you guys. And I'm sorry. I'm just, guys. I forgot. I wanted to look over and see over on the Facebook side. And it's good to see Kim and Melissa. Guys, thanks for watching us within on Facebook Live. That's kind of fun today. I appreciate that. I'm really glad to see you guys. And for those of you guys that are watching us in Blab, welcome, and on YouTube, wherever you guys are connecting with today, it's actually pretty. It's kind of cool. I'm so glad to be able to see you guys. So the app I was thinking of is Tile, Tile. Okay, but lost it, so that failed. Right. Well, David, I mean, I would leave it to you to lose the one thing that is actually specifically designed to help you find things. Tile, if you guys are not familiar, it's a very specific thing. So it's connected to your Bluetooth, and what it does, you would hook it's this little tiny. I say tiny. I mean it's small. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be like big enough to hold in between your fingers. And what it is that it's like a GPS locator, essentially, but it's connected through your through your Bluetooth. And so you get one of these little white tiles, and you would put it on your key ring. So that through your mobile phone, and it's a specific mobile device, you can actually go into your mobile device, and you name them different things. So you can select the one that's on your keys, and you connect it, and it will actually alert you through a sound where your keys are. So if you're within, I don't know, what's a Bluetooth range, like 100 feet or something like that, you can do that. Now, here's the real cool thing. This is the part I really liked. Is that it goes in reverse. It will actually then help you find your phone, so that you can you interact now with the tile itself. So you lost your phone, even if it's on silent. It'll actually have your phone play a ringer or some kind of a set sound. Now there has been some issues, and if you go into the app, they'll let you know it's like, oh, we're having problems with like Android 6.something.1. And I'll say this like this: they need to fix that problem if they want to make this thing work. But it is a little pricey. I think it's like $25 per tile. And yes, you get like, the more you buy, so if you buy 4, I think it's only like $70, and and on and on and on, things like that, right? But I love that concept, and that I've seen very similar things done with the with stickers with microchips in them, so that you can bring your phone over to it. But this is a specific mobile app to help you manage different things, and so I thought that was actually a really good thing for those that constantly lose their keys, lose your purse, lose your wallet. You can find it. All right. Another one that's actually, this is a crossover for crowdsourcing traffic. It's called Waze, Waze. Okay. This app crowdsources where traffic is and helps you find ways around it. Okay, now you see, right? Okay. Um, so I thought that was actually really cool. Now I don't know. I don't know if this actually replaces my use of Google Drive, or the Google Maps. So as I'm driving, I rely on that as tells me ahead where the traffic is. So I'll find the best way around it. But this kind of solves that problem, because when I'm driving around and I don't know the area, I would hopefully be able to use this, and it helps me find a way around it. So Waze is another. It's got a pretty easy interface. Which I'll be honest, not this. This is not I'm not condoning. Checking your phone and driving at the same time, but it is great for driving directions, right? But it helps you kind of get around, like I said, those stuck points or high traffic areas. I know in some states in the US that you cannot touch your phone. You can't touch your mobile device. Everything has to be completely hands-free. Otherwise, you're actually breaking the law. And so I just want to make sure that I'm not saying use your mobile device while you're doing. Certainly don't live stream and drive. So anyway, that's another type of an app that, again, it has a very specific use. And I'm going to go for no, I think I'll bring it up. Okay, this is yes, if you get stuck in a walking traffic jam, David, this is your app, and I want you to use it, and I'd like you to live stream while you do that. So it doesn't tell you if there's a squirrel in the road. No, the whole point really is that it's there's a bit of crowdsourcing involved, so it's not just a computer algorithm. But I wanted to talk about a couple of an app that really caught my attention, and it's being used all the time. But it's a very specific, has a really it has a relatively small audience, but this is when I tell you it's the T-Mobile Tuesdays app. I am not a T-Mobile subscriber. I don't use it. I don't promote them. I don't get paid by them or any of that kind of stuff. What caught my eye about the T-Mobile Tuesday app is that within that specific app, they're doing a lot of like pre-releases, news releases, giveaways. They're giving their T-Mobile customers so many reasons to come back and just use that app. It's not stuff you're going to find on the website. They don't put it. They don't send it through the T-Mobile. All the info. I call it just I call it malware. It's not really. It's all the apps that you can't download or you can't delete from your phone. They're just with it, right? But this app does this thing, and that is its exclusive purpose. You don't. Yeah, bloatware. Thank you, Mike. I was escaping the words for it. But it really brings out the point of, I think this is really where a lot of apps are going to do really well. It is a specific app with a very specific purpose. It's not the Facebook of apps. It doesn't, this is not like Google search or any of this kind of stuff. It brings those specific subscribed users, and it brings them value. So they're going to keep coming back to that app where you can bring them more and more value, updates, news, giveaways. And I thought that was and it's in mobile app. So Mike says iOS will always will allow us to drop much of the bloatware in the thank. Right? I'm really glad. And to be honest with you, Mike, with all just the weirdo stuff with how fast apps are developing and where they're developing first, it is making me think that maybe Android, I don't want to stay with Android. I want to go over to iOS, but that's a show for later. Two more apps. There are two more apps I want to talk about, and I'll just name them right off. I do want to talk about Huzzah, their app. I like their app. It's not done yet. They haven't finished it. I like it, but here's what I like about it, right? We just got done talking about a very specific app for a small user base. But what I like about it is the fact that it's so straightforward. I can see with upcoming shows and things like this, I can see in the future they're going to need to add a few search parameters, things like narrowing it down either by categories or something like that, kind of going in that direction, because if their user base starts to grow, there's probably going to be more shows on at a certain time than I can scroll through, or that I'm willing to scroll through. But I like how easy they make it for me to be able to subscribe and watch, and things like this. What I can't do right now, and I think they're going to change this in the future, and they may actually talk about this later on, is the ability then to get on camera from the mobile app, which may or may not be a good thing. I'm still up in the air, but I know for me, I would like to know as a broadcaster if that person is on mobile, because I may only want desktop users with a webcam to be able to come on the show. But I'd like to know that ahead of time. All right. So that's with Huzzah, and Huzzah app spelled out, please. Yeah, I think you have it. It's Huzza. Just look for it. I think it's only iOS. That is not an Android app. I will tell you that. So I have it downloaded on my iPad, and that's because that's how, if I'm going to watch live stream, honestly, that's really for the most part how I want to watch it. Same thing with like Netflix and YouTube. I like to watch it more on my tablet rather than my mobile phone. Even though for Android I do have a Note 4, so that's got a pretty big screen on it anyway. But for those of you guys with smaller, that's where you guys really need to pick and choose how you want to actually consume it. And then the last one, and I'd really like to know who has used this app. It's the Adobe Spark app. How many of you guys? I know a couple of you guys have, and I want your impressions. I want to know what your impressions are, because I think it's actually kind of a cool little thing. Mike, thank you so much for dropping that link. I really appreciate it. Love Adobe. And I you know what, guys? I'm sorry I haven't learned all your guys' faces and usernames yet. But I do see 1, 2, 3. You guys are 4. You guys are using it. That's awesome. I'm really glad to see that you guys are liking it. So I want to check out the rights to the graphics you create. Okay, Steven. So is there an issue with that you don't own the rights to it, or what? I'd actually really like to know that, how that's working out. I use most of the CC tools with my subscription. Okay. Okay. They have the rights to use. Steven, very good. Good to see. And that's a problem. And I know a live streaming platform very similar to this one that does that same thing. Okay. That it does the same thing where they, by using the platform, they have all the rights to use all of your material any other time. And I'm not really sure I like that idea. But I think it's kind of a fun tool, especially if it's more for your personal use. Then maybe you can actually have a little bit more fun with it, because you're not really necessarily worried about copyright, trademark stuff. In terms of like being able to, like I just took I took a picture of myself with Mickey Mouse, right? You can post that on your your Facebook profile page, and they don't have a problem with it. But if you start putting it on your fan page and you start running ads to your fan page, you're probably going to run into some problems. You know what I mean? So I just kind of want to put that out there. Let's see here, and I'm just trying to check to see a lot of the other comments. Thank you, Jonathan. Jonathan Baruch. He dropped some comments in on the Facebook page, so I'm really glad to see that. Thank you guys for that. I'm not really sure how I like it, and the reason why I don't like a lot of those kinds of apps is because they do reserve that right. Now I know that I give away some of the rights by producing the show here on another platform. I do give away some of those, some of that right, some of the exclusivity. But always, especially with these new like video, Musical.ly is an app I didn't really talk about. I don't think it in any way, at least for me, falls into the I absolutely need that app. I don't. I have it downloaded, and I think I deleted it. It seems like a fun thing to do. Not that I don't have time for fun, but it's just that's not my thing. But I do know that whether people are they're getting to be they're Musical.ly, and how many of you guys are familiar with Musical.ly? .ly. So Musical.ly, and it's an app where you can kind of create through lip syncing videos and things like this. But there are people becoming famous. They're Musical.ly famous, which I just maybe I'm kind of already hit my app overload, but I think it's kind of silly. but they're doing it, and that's just the way that it is. And so I'm not gonna sweat it. I already downloaded it just to kind of check it out, and then I deleted it, and I was like, it's not my thing. I'm sure that's how a lot of people feel with about Snapchat. They were like, I don't really get it, and they just delete it. Is Wirecast an app? There is an app version, but it's actually for connecting your iPad as a separate camera. So you can actually have your iPad done that way. What about GPS maps? Do you have any favorites? Actually, for me, because I run Android, I like Google Maps. That's how I use it. I don't really do a lot of like walking around and things like that. It works really well, fanboy. Big Brother Maps. That's right. I know, Sandra. So Sandra, you've actually you've addressed and you and I, we both have Android Note 4s, right? Okay. And you've experienced this problem with Snapchat, that it's horrible on Android. The Android experience is so bad. After about 4 or 5, whether it's pictures or views or whatever, it shuts down. And at first I thought it was my phone. So I uninstalled it and cleared the cache and all that stuff. And I reinstalled it only to find that the problem is still there. And every time there's an update, there's like another problem on the Android side. From what I understand, on the iOS side, it's different, and it's a different experience. And so that's it. So what you did is you went out and you got an iPad Pro. So you now have that ability to be able to snap from an Android device. I watched a snap first, seen a guy and hooked with a pretty good copy. Okay, see, and I think that there's a lot to be said with the iOS, and developers are choosing to bring the new apps out first on iOS. Obviously, guys, for lots of reasons. It's controlled space and all this kind of stuff, right? But this is where I want to kind of direct our attention to as we're kind of closing out the program, at least the live recorded part. When choosing your apps and things like that, I would say if you want to stay on the cutting edge, I think you need to be on iOS, not the Android side. iOS, the apps are just coming out so fast, but with that comes the danger of feeling that you need to be there in order to be heard, and that's simply not true. It is a matter more of being connected with an audience, finding creative ways to use it, and it's okay to go out and to use different apps, but I would say just be really careful about the way you use apps, because information really is taken. There's a lot of the I didn't read the terms of service. Phones are getting hacked faster and easier these days, or it seems like it. I don't want to say that it actually is. I have really yet to be hacked and have my information stolen, although I have had some of my passwords compromised, and so I'm always rotating through those. But anyway, I wanted to bring that up and share that out there. Let me close out the program here for those that are watching outside of Huzzah. Guys, thanks so much. Today's show, we were just kind of going through a lot of the mobile devices, the mobile apps that we can't live without. We talked about social and messaging. We talked about what are we watching for our media? How is it YouTube or Pandora or Netflix or whatever? And then we were kind of talking about a bunch of the other apps that I thought they're kind of new. They're very specific, and I think that's where apps are going and need to go, rather than trying to be all things to all people. So with that, I just want to say, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, tomorrow we'll have a guest on, and I will put that link up in our Facebook group, which you're welcome to join. The easiest way to get there, it is with group.jonathantripp.com. That'll get you right over. That's just a forwarding link over to our Facebook group. And we also do have a Google Plus community, and just search out Jonathan Tripp Live for Google Plus, and I think that'll direct you over. I'll have a lower third for that tomorrow, as well as a link going out for that group. So you're welcome to join it. But guys, thank you so much. I will be here tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time for another show. And I want to say, guys, again, thank you so much for everything you guys are doing, being a part of the group, and shout out to all of my admins and people, and particularly Terry for all of her help, and all of you guys that are supporting me on Patreon. I honestly, that's probably one of the biggest encouragers that I've had. Patreon, and again, you guys can find me over on Patreon at patreon.jonathantripp.com. I love it. Thank you guys for being a part of that. So going forward, you guys are really welcome to be a part of that, because we're going to start producing some Patreon only content here. We're going to line up with just a few really good interviews and some things, and we're going to be putting those on our Patreon page. So with that, guys, I'm going to say thank you guys so much. We are just hitting the hour right now because we started a couple minutes late, but I really want to say thank you. Join us tomorrow, and I will see you then. Take care.